Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. My name is Steve. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to the Mini Cooper, everything you need to know. I honestly don't know much of anything at all about the Mini Cooper, but about a month ago I reacted to a video about classic British cars, and in the comment section of that video I had a ton of people saying that I needed to learn about the Mini Cooper. Because in that video I realized that the car that I had been seeing so many of on the side of the road in the UK, it seems like a very popular car. I kept on seeing this car over and over and over again. It's actually the Mini Cooper, and I didn't even know it. You know, growing up in the US, I really didn't grow up with the Mini Cooper. I don't know anybody who's ever owned a Mini Cooper, but I now know that they are actually very, very popular in the UK, and supposedly they are a very iconic British car. And one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to check this video out and learn about the Mini Cooper is because in that video, I don't remember if it was in the video itself or if it was in the comments section, but basically I learned that people actually race the Mini Cooper. And that was really surprising to me because looking at this car, it really just doesn't look like, you know, what I generally think of when I think of a race car. And so I'm very fascinated by that, and I'm really curious to learn about the history of the Mini Cooper and to see why it became so popular and why it became one of the most iconic British cars of all time, supposedly. But anyways, guys, I have no idea what to expect here, but I think this is going to be very interesting. So let's just go ahead and dive in and check out the Mini Cooper, everything you need to know. What?
Great Britain, land of the Beatles, Big Ben, the Queen. It's also home to some of the most influential cars ever made. Jaguar, Land Rover, Lotus.
Oh, he said it right, didn't he?
One car stands out
Jaguar.
above the rest, or should I say below. The most British car of all time. One so iconic that they didn't change it for 40 years. It's the best-selling icon of British motoring that changed car design forever. It's also really cute. It is the most British thing since the Queen herself. Hello, Governor. This is everything you need to know. Hello, Governor. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed. Oh my God. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Mini. The Mini was built to answer a question. Yo, how do we fit the most stuff in the smallest space possible? The Morris Company wanted a car that was efficient, roomy, small enough to conquer London traffic, and still be fun to blast down English B roads. The job was given to Morris head engineer Alec Isagonis, who had previously worked on the Morris Minor, another icon of British post-war design. In 1952, Morris and Austin had merged to create the British Motor Company. Isagonis and his team struggled to strike a balance between a small exterior and a roomy interior until they had a major breakthrough that would influence economy cars for decades. They turned the engine sideways and made it power the front wheels. This little tweak changed everything. The transverse engine mounting saved room in the engine compartment, which made the cabin bigger. Front-wheel drive eliminated the drive shaft to the back wheels, allowing for a flat floor, making more rear legroom. 4 fully grown adults could fit inside the impossibly small prototype. Even more impressive than the capacity was the car's maneuverability. The wheels were very close to each corner of the car, which blessed it with incredibly nimble handling. Isagonis was so committed to nailing the driving feel that Morris converted an airfield into a test track just so they could fine-tune the handling. Basically.
So that's why people race this car. I don't know how powerful they are, how much horsepower it has, how fast they are, but I do remember that people were talking about the handling, and so that must be a big aspect of why this car is so popular, especially with people that want to, I don't know, go racing or whatever with it. But wow, it sounds like it basically influenced a lot of our modern cars, especially the small cars. The compacts.
They had the Top Gear test track a couple of years before James May was born. Once they had perfected the ride, the prototype was ready for mass production. While other manufacturers built their cars on an assembly line, Morris built their new car on a jig.
on a
welding every piece of bodywork together piece by piece.
Wow.
The process was slow and meticulous, but it ensured quality fitment all the time. This commitment to precision in Minis would soon become one of the brand's defining factors. The Mini debuted as the Morris Mini Minor and Austin 7 in 1959, and people went batshit over it.
What a... That sounds so familiar. Bat droppings.
The small stature made it perfect for city driving, and driving it was fun. BMC was satisfied with the public's perception of the Mini as the practical family four-seater, but they wanted the little rascal to be something more. Like when my dad told me I could be so much more if I just applied myself instead of just doing the bare minimum like I always do. Well, guess who's on internet now, Dad? So Morris did what any parent would do and signed the Mini up for some sports. BMC prepared cars to be entered in the Monte Carlo Rally in 1961. The race took place in January, meaning the scrappy little Mini had to deal with icy roads and snow, all while racing with Ferraris and Lotuses. The car did okay, leading its class until suffering an accident that ended the run. It was never gonna win with 34 horsepower, but while other cars were spinning out on the ice, the Mini's front-wheel drive gave it awesome grip in the crappy conditions. BMC and Isagonis knew they were onto something with this cool little front-wheel drive racer car. Good job, you little guy. Good job, you little Mini. You did so good in Monte Carlo. You did so good in Monte Carlo. We're very proud of you. I think he's a natural. No one saw the potential better than English racing legend John Cooper. Why is Cooper such a legend? Oh, well, nothing huge. He and his dad only changed Formula One forever when their mid-engined race car won back-to-back championships in the late 50s, convincing everyone else to go mid-engined, influencing race and road cars for decades to come. That's it. No big deal! Cooper saw the Minis racing in Monte Carlo and was like, do you guys really want to win? I can help you do that. And Isagonis was like, okay, chap. Cooper tuned up the tiny engines to make 70 horsepower and upgraded the brakes. The result was the Mini
70?
Cooper S. Ever heard of it? John Cooper and the gang took the Mini back to Monaco in 1964
very small.
and kicked everyone's ass.
Look how tiny that is, man.
They went back the next year and kicked everyone's ass again.
Wow.
The next year they won again, but they were disqualified because they had the wrong light bulbs in their headlights.
Are you serious?
Seriously? But Mini didn't get discouraged. They came back the next year and won again. The repeated success of the Mini Cooper proved that you didn't need to have hundreds of horsepower and an Italian name to win races. You just needed heart. So many people were inspired by the Mini's rally outings that they began to race Minis on their own, both in Mini class leagues and against other sports.
So is it literally because it's so tiny, it's lightweight, and it just has really, really, really great handling? That's what I'm guessing is the reason that, you know, they were able to win these races so much. That's really cool, man. And I think he's right. This would make a very good car, you know, for city driving, you know, tight spaces, small parking spots, you know, all that stuff. Definitely could see this in London traffic, especially today. I think, you know, shoot, somewhere like New York, you know, other cities would do really well with a car like this as well. But yeah.
Cars. The go-kart-like handling made it a force to be reckoned with on road courses. Here's the crazy thing about Minis. They were made for over 40 years with like a million engine options and little changes here and there to make them safer, but the look hardly changed at all. To the untrained eye, the classic Mini that rolled off the assembly line in 2000 would be nearly indistinguishable from one made in the early 60s.
Wow.
That's how much people love the Mini. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. Make little changes. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but this doesn't mean there wasn't some experimentation with the Mini formula. God knows we've all experimented. Hey, Chris. 1960 saw the introduction of the Mini Van, not the Mini Van, but
Are you serious?
The Mini Van, which was like any other panel van of the era, but mini. That same year, there was an Estate, which is British for station wagon. The Estate even had wood trim, giving it the nickname Woody. The next year, a Mini pickup was introduced.
A Mini pickup? Dude, that's so cool, man. I love this. A Mini pickup. Does anyone watching this have well, I'm sure some people watching this have an actual Mini. I mean, you know, I know it's been a very popular car. If you're in the UK, you know, you probably definitely know someone with a Mini, I'm guessing. But I'm guessing the minivan, that's crazy, man. Minivan. I mean, yeah, anyway. Because obviously I know what a minivan is here. I've never heard of an actual mini van. Does anyone know anybody with an actual minivan or a mini, what do you say? Is this a mini pickup or a mini truck? Hold on. What do you call this? A Woody. So this kind of looks like a station wagon. That's what we would call it here. If you go back to the 80s, maybe 70s, I don't know, you would see these like wood paneled, what we call them, station wagons. They're like, I'm sure you guys know what a station wagon. I'm sure you probably call it the same thing maybe, but anyway. I'm really curious if I love the mini pickup truck and the minivan. Those are cool. I would buy one of those mini pickup trucks today. That is just, it's so cool, man. That's a really cool looking truck.
Woody. The next year, a mini pickup was introduced with a bed big enough for like a box. Perhaps the strangest mini ever was the mini moat. And I'm not kidding, this is actually real. It's an off-road version developed for military.
Oh, it's like a Jeep.
The British Army and Royal Marines took one look at the puny Jeep wannabe and they were like, you know what? Mate, we're good. Lack of military interest notwithstanding, BMC produced the Moke anyway, and it became a cult classic. But by far the coolest mini variant was the ERA Mini Turbo, released in 1989. This wide-bodied performance hatchback made 100 horsepower and was the only classic mini to come from the factory with a turbo. It had a top speed of 115 miles per hour, which actually sounds terrifying. Have you ever driven a Mini? It's scary. The car was built by English Racing Automobiles, a company that specialized in building Grand Prix cars in the 1930s.
It's scary. I mean, well, I guess it is very small. And so if you're surrounded by large vehicles, especially if you're here in the US with all the SUVs and large trucks around, I don't know how low they are to the ground, but they look pretty low to the ground. So like you're going to be going around, driving around. Yeah, I can imagine being around a bunch of like 18 wheelers and yeah, okay. And I can imagine in a small car like that, if you hit 115, it's going to feel much faster than that. So I'm guessing that's all the speed you would need with a car like that, even if you're racing, you know, especially with the good handling and whatnot. I'm sure that, you know, that's definitely, probably fast enough for most people even if you're racing. So.
Parent company at the time, Rover, wanted ERA to build a performance-based Mini in the spirit of the Cooper S. Only 436 ERA turbos were ever sold, and most of them went to Japan, so they're super dupes rare. In 1994, BMW bought the Rover Group, and development of a new car started right away. Rover kept building the classic Mini until BMW sold them to Ford in 2000. The last classic Mini to roll off the line was built the same way it had been built for decades, by hand. In late 2000, BMW rolled out the new Mini Cooper. The old king was dead, but his son had taken the throne. The Mini Cooper was unmistakably Mini, with round headlights and a signature white roof. Yeah, it was a little bigger than the old one, but compared to other cars on the road, it was still pretty Mini. Many Mini purists weren't completely convinced it was a proper replacement, but that didn't matter because the new Mini was an immediate commercial success. As a tribute to John Cooper, BMW revived the Cooper S name for the sport version. The Cooper S was powered by a supercharged 1.6 liter engine, making 160 horsepower, giving it a better power to weight ratio than the original. These things are rad. The block is cast iron, so you can tune the hell out of it without worrying about blowing up, and it handles twisty roads just as well as the old one. Like the Mini of old, the brand started introducing fresh models to expand the brand. You got the Mini convertible in 2005, which is great for California, but not ideal for rainy Britain, where it was born. In 2007, Mini introduced a diesel version, which we never got in the States because we never get diesel cars. It's like, hey, where's the diesel pump? And the guy's like, oh, across town. And you're like, what? Yeah, we don't really import that many diesel cars over here, so. 2008 gave us the Mini Clubman, which was a little longer for more legroom and had a weird little baby door on the right side and barn doors in the Clubman, which was a little longer for more legroom and had a weird little baby door on the right side and barn doors in the back. In 2011, Mini unveiled their very first crossover, the Countryman. It had all-wheel drive, more ground clearance, and was all beefed up like that kid in junior high who went through puberty over summer break to beat everyone's ass now? Daryl, I know I used to take your lunch money, but can we work this out? I'm sorry, I'm not bullying anymore. The Countryman also marked Mini's return to the rally scene, both in the backwoods and rallycross events all over the world. The roided out Mini won the brutal Dakar Rally 4 freaking times, making it one of the toughest rally cars ever. The variation in the Mini lineup established the brand not only as quirky novelty, but a legitimate family to choose from. The crown jewel in the lineup being the John Cooper Works model. These are the fastest Minis you can buy, with turbocharged engines making 220 horsepower. They've got functional brake ducts in the front to keep your brakes cool while you're tearing up the track. If you thought Mini forgot about its heritage, you're dead wrong. These things are real sports cars. I mean, it's British racing green with red stripes. Those colors don't even match. It's like Christmas race car. That's race car, man. The Mini is truly an icon. The British love this car. In 2015, they voted it the most British car of all time, beating out the Land Rover, the Jaguar E-Type, and the horse and carriage. No car better encapsulates British sensibility than this quirky economy car.
All right, guys. This is really, really interesting. I'm glad I checked this out. I had no idea that the Mini, and number one, I really didn't know anything about the Mini, but I had recognized that you guys obviously in the UK seem to have a lot of Minis. They seem to be everywhere. Every video I watch where I'm seeing people drive, I'm usually seeing some Minis on the road. So obviously it's very popular there. It's interesting that he's talking about we have Minis here in the States, yet I never see them. I cannot think of a single time I've ever seen a Mini here in the U.S. I may have. It may be one of those things that, you know, if you're not looking for something, you're not paying attention, you know, specifically for something, you just don't notice it when you come through, you know, when you pass it or whatever. That might be the situation here, because obviously I'm sure, you know, as many places I've been in the U.S., obviously I probably have passed the Mini at some point, but it's just not something I see very often. But definitely in the UK, you guys seem to love them, and I think this video goes to show that. But is that true? What was it? The most British? So the Mini is known. It was voted to be the most British car of all time. Was that what he said? I don't know where that was. The most British car of all time. I don't know where it was, but that's crazy. There it is. Hold on. I wanted to see what he said there.
This car. In 2015, they voted it the most British car of all time.
Okay, wow. All right. More British than the Jaguar. That's something. And all the other cars that I learned about on that past video, this is cool. It's a cool car. I had no idea that it was such a good racing car, you know, but I didn't know that it was, you know, it handled so well. And I really, really, really like that pickup and a few of the other models. I'm used to seeing that just when I see when I see the Mini over in the UK on different videos, it's generally that one version. Where is it at? I have no idea. I have no idea where it's at. Is it that one? The Mini Cooper S? I don't know, but I've never seen the convertible before. That right there. Yeah, that right there. Well, wherever it went. Well, I don't know where it went. It doesn't matter anyway. That's the one I've noticed. But pickup trucks, minivans, SUV looking. I never would have expected them to have so many different models of the Mini Cooper. But anyways, guys, thought this was interesting. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments, guys, if you have one of these Minis. And especially if you have or know someone with a Mini pickup or a Mini van. For some reasons, I just find those very, very unique. And I would have never guessed that the Mini would have created those types of vehicles. I figured it was always just the same model, but yeah, I'd just be curious, like how big are they? How big is that pickup and how big is that van? I'm guessing they're very small and you really can't haul much with them, but just still, they're just really cool looking. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, peace.